when I cared about people's opinions. More, at least.
Recently picked up this Chinese-made laser tattoo removal device from eBay. Now, according to the specs, this thing should contain a really scary pulse laser system inside, and if so, I'd love to screw around with it. When it comes to wacky eBay gadgets like this, you never know what you're gonna get. For one, sellers often blatantly lie about the ratings. And two, this entire system costs less than having a doctor burn off a tattoo, so it's not like you can expect some state-of-the-art medical system. Now that being said, I'm not super concerned with how safe or effective this thing is, because honestly, I just want to blow some stuff out with a pulse laser. In fact, if this thing can produce pulses of, say, oh, I don't know, like 1,000,000 watts, I'll be pretty impressed. If not, I'll just have to give it some much-needed upgrades. So yeah, without further ado, let's fire this thing up. So, spoiler alert, this thing packs some serious firepower. See all those little marks in the screen? This thing is so powerful that it blew a bunch of holes in my camera sensor without even taking a direct hit. And what I'm getting at is that this thing definitely isn't a toy. And as tempting as it may be, I do not recommend buying one of these things. Dangerous is an understatement for this laser. And if you don't have some high-end laser goggles, you'll go blind using this thing. So yeah, please don't try anything you see in this video at home. Alright, so here's what all came with this unit. So you got the laser head here and the main power supply. You got these treatment-specific tips that actually might be able to change the laser's output color. You got this this really mysterious ointment, this funnel for adding cooling water, a foot switch, and then these really sketchy laser goggles. This manual here, if you could even call it that, turned out to be completely useless for assembling this thing. But luckily putting this thing together was really straightforward.
IKEA.
Like honestly, a 10-year-old could assemble this thing. And I'm not totally sure that's a good thing. I went ahead and used deionized water for the coolant fluid, because it turns out that ultra pure water is actually a really good electrical insulator. Pretty cool, right? Now before I power up the laser, I need something to protect my eyeballs, because from what I hear, permanent blindness is a bummer. Now the hilarious thing is that the goggles that came with this unit are the complete opposite color of my own goggles that are rated for a laser like this. Now I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this could be a huge issue, so I'm going to play it safe by wearing these things. Now unfortunately I don't have any visible tattoos that I can burn off for this video, but luckily this is an all-in-one device. You can also remove eyebrows, remove birthmarks, freckle,
Oh my
and then
god, remove eyebrows with the fucking super blind laser? That's a gamba, dude.
whatever Black Doll is. My eyebrows probably could use a little bit of taming, but you know what, before I start pointing this thing at my face, I better test it on something like this piece of metal over here. Alright, I got the energy maxed out. Here we go. Oh my gosh, that is loud.
What? I don't even know what's happening.
It's literally blowing craters in the metal. That is a lot of damage. Check out those insane plasma fireballs. The surface must be getting incredibly hot.
People do this on their fucking
I was
skin?
not expecting this thing to be so strong,
The
especially
fuck?
out of the box. Like, that's just blowing craters into metal with nothing but light. Like, that's insane. This thing packs some serious
I guess
power.
it's full power, yeah.
Right here, I have a 2.5 kilo chunk of tungsten. Let's see what happens when I hit it with the laser. In case you don't find these little craters impressive, tungsten has a melting point of over 3,400 degrees Celsius, the highest melting point of all pure metals. Now, I wouldn't even be surprised if the center of the fireball is hotter than the surface of the sun. I know what you're thinking. What happens if you get hit by the beam? Well, one way to find out, I guess. Oh wow, it kind of tickles. Well, I mean, yeah, it hurts, but not nearly as bad as I was expecting. That's actually pretty neat. Now, the reason it's not leaving craters in my skin is the fact that my skin just doesn't absorb this light very well. Now, this is especially useful for removing dark tattoos, as the laser selectively destroys the dark ink while leaving the skin untouched. Well, sort of. As an example of
That's
this,
how it works,
let's pretend I've
Chad.
made the biggest mistake of my entire life, and the only way for my family to love me again is to get it burned off. Well, lucky for me, this is just another day at the office for this laser. Well, that sucked. I mean, yeah, it erased the ink. It actually did a really good job. But maybe maxing out the power wasn't the best idea here. Whatever, my skin will probably heal. Now, unfortunately, burning off a tattoo isn't always so simple. For one, my pale skin and dark ink makes selectively destroying the ink a lot easier. But the thing is, lasers are racist. I mean, those with a darker complexion are a lot more likely to receive burns, just because their skin absorbs more of the light. And that isn't even the only complicating factor. I mean, tattoos come in a huge variety of different colors, so you can't use just one laser for all of them. As an extreme example of this, I've tattooed these two boards here. Now, when I try to remove the one on the darker board, it's hard to prevent destroying the surface along with the ink. But even on the lighter board, I run into issues. Now, the dark ink comes off pretty easily, but the red ink is essentially untouched. So now what do we do? That's where this wedge graph comes in. So inside this tip is a crystal of potassium titanyl phosphate, or KTP for short. It splices two IR photons together to make one green photon via a process called second harmonic generation. Now, the fact that you can just screw this onto the tip to make it green is literally insane, because it's usually a lot harder to pull off non-linear optical processes like this. The green light does a much better job at removing the red ink, but really this isn't much of a surprise, since red and green are on opposite sides of the color wheel. Okay, so it works on wood, but how about skin? One way to find out. Ow! Ow, holy heck, that hurt. It turns out a lot of things absorb the green light better, and that includes my skin. So sorry guys, but I'm gonna have to pass on lasering this one off. I guess it's permanent now. Oh yeah, rubbing alcohol's a thing, isn't it? So what else can I do with the green beam? Well, how about cleaning some dirty coins? Oh wow, look at that. Good as new. The polka dots give it an added touch. Don't you hate it when your transformers get all rusty? Well, luckily with this laser, you can burn the rust right off. Oh wow, that's amazing. I don't even need to use corrosive chemicals. Just an unimaginably dangerous laser.
Screen fucked. You're in like 3 cameras probably.
Aluminum foil reflects all but just a few percent of the light that hits it. So is it possible that we can shoot through it anyway? I guess so. Now that's actually pretty crazy, because remember, that's just light that's shooting through the foil. Now if we look at it in slow motion, you can see little pieces of burning aluminum flying off of the metal. That's actually pretty neat. Oh yeah, see all those little spots in the picture? This is when I noticed them too. Heck. Turns out that even without a direct hit, the laser still managed to blast a bunch of holes in the camera sensor. And since there's no fixing that, I might as well keep lasering stuff until the entire sensor goes blind. This one was suggested to me by YouTube user Viduli. It's just a block of clear acrylic. Now even though it's nearly transparent, the laser can still burn its entire beam path into the plastic. Now it's funny because I tried using this effect to engrave stuff into the acrylic, I just ended up vaporizing the surface of my table behind the block. A balloon seems like a silly test compared to everything else, but check this out. Well, that was surprisingly difficult. What gives? It turns out that the hot plasma formed on the surface ends up absorbing most of the laser pulse energy, and this actually protects the material behind it somewhat. This is why military laser weapons are almost never pulsed. When it comes to burning stuff with a powerful laser, it's hard to find something easier to set on fire than a match. But this is a pulse laser, so it doesn't behave like you'd expect. In fact, the laser obliterates match heads without even igniting them. I think the explosions at the surface must be too violent to allow a stable flame to form. I wonder if this laser can burn a CD. Oh yeah, it punches straight through it. Even if I flip it to the shiny side, it still vaporizes the metal coating. That's pretty crazy.
Is it cutting off?
Oh yeah, can't forget about these goggles that were sent with the kit. Now surely the sellers care about our safety, right? Ha! Look at that. Yeah, that's right. Your retinas would look like a slice of Swiss cheese if you trusted these things. Big oof to those who bought one of these kits and used the included goggles. Look what—
Alright. 20 minutes though. Don't get a tattoo.